So, time now for your timely reminder that the Supreme Court is currently deciding on whether racist gerrymandering is legal or illegal. And if the bad guys win, it could allow Republicans who currently have full control, meaning state legislature and the governor's mansion control in 23 states, versus the 15 that Democrats have full control over and 11 that are mixed and therefore have and are they are mixed. They have some Democrat and some Republican. Like the legislature is one way, the governor goes the other way. Meaning that Republicans have the ability to theoretically gerrymander any of those 23 states that they want to, any of them. And there's an estimate that at least 19 they could do it in order to lock in Republican, meaning Trump administration control for the foreseeable future. Joining me now are Representative Khanna, representing California's great 17th congressional district, and Representative John Jackson of Illinois' 1st congressional district, which I believe used to be the Obama district. Thank you all for being here, where he came from. Thank you both for being here. Let's get started with you, Representative Khanna. We've talked about this, I think, before, even on my old show, about this sort of threat to democracy we're seeing looming writ large. In your view, what are the stakes of this Supreme Court case, the Calais versus Louisiana case?
Well, they're extraordinary. And Jonathan Jackson has been the leader in the Congress, sounding the moral alarm for months on this. I mean, let's take the example of Jim Clyburn in South Carolina. For 95 years in South Carolina, there was no Black representative. And the reason was that the Black vote would all be diluted, even after the 1965 Voting Rights Act, and they basically denied African American representation. What this case wants to do is to go back to a pre-1965 era. It would mean the elimination of many Black seats, Black majority seats in the South, and vote dilution to deny representation for things that Dr. King, Jonathan's father, Reverend Jackson, John Lewis fought for. I mean, it should be the number one issue that we're talking about. They're literally trying to reverse civil rights.
And Representative Jackson, let's talk about that because I think a lot of people are not really necessarily feeling the urgency of this gerrymandering case. You know, where everyone's watching the Prop 50, question in California, where Governor Newsom has said, we're going to, gerrymander back. We'll gerrymander on our side the same way that Texas gerrymandered for Trump. Do you get the sense that people in your district, and of course you come from a very prominent family that has fought for this for a really long time, do you get the sense that people understand the stakes of this? Regular
No,
folks.
no, Joy. Thank you so much. This has been an era of mass distraction, and how can you not be distracted when you see the president with a bulldozer taking out a wing of the White House? And of course, there's soybean issues, there's healthcare issues, there are premiums coming up on this the first day. So yes, people are distracted. But what happens in this case is this decision can upend every election across the country. If it starts just with in principle, this isn't about a line and a map. This is about voices. Whose voices have the opportunity to be represented? If they start gerrymandering on the race and excluding people and ethnicities from having equal access and opportunities to the ballot boxes, it can happen on income. It can happen on gender. It just doesn't stop. So we're talking about proportional representation. That's the true spirit of a composite nation on bringing people together.
Do you think that, to stay with you for a moment, Representative Jackson, do you think that Democrats have been a little bit short-sighted, essentially admitting in advance that this gerrymandering is political? Because it seems to me that John Roberts, Chief Justice John Roberts, has been pretty clear that he doesn't have a problem with political gerrymandering. He thinks that should be legal and constitutional. But if you prove racial gerrymandering, like was proved in Alabama, then there's a chance he'll rule in your favor. Do you think that Democrats should just be more open that this is racist gerrymandering?
Oh, absolutely. And you've got to use the word not necessarily discriminatory, but racist. I think sometimes they've been a little bit too soft on giving it a pass. When you have Afrikaners saying that they were discriminated against in South Africa when they're built into the Constitution, and you lie upon the president of South Africa and say it was a genocide going on. That's racist behavior. When you start using these lines and this rhetoric and it's coded, it's more sophisticated. It starts off with woke, it goes on to diversity, equity, and inclusion. They weaponize the term DEI. And after all the Doge talks of cuts and other things, the net effect is fewer African American women are working, more have been kicked out, the debt is higher, the deficit is higher. So what was the net effect? It was very racially targeted. And this is the life work, the crowning achievement of the Justice Roberts Supreme Court. He wants to overturn all of the work of the Reverend Martin Luther King. Some people, and there were these people in the 60s and in the 50s who were shouting against racial progress. Who were the parents? Who were the children and grandchildren? Well, they've never stopped coming. And some people opposed Reverend Martin Luther King in life, and they've continued to fight against all of the racial progress after his death. And so we have to make sure that doesn't happen anymore.
Let's talk about California just a minute, Representative Khanna. It does seem like, at least Politico's reporting, is that the Republican opposition to Prop 50 has basically collapsed. And Prop 50, for those not paying attention, that is the bill that Governor Gavin Newsom proposed that would gerrymander California against Republicans in response to Texas. It doesn't feel like the Republicans really are fighting that hard anymore. Is Politico getting that wrong, or do you still see a big fight against that? Or have they given up?
I'm very confident. The entire California delegation is supporting it. The polls look good, but as you know, Joy, we've got to fight till the last day, and I don't want people to be complacent. So please make sure that if you haven't turned in your ballot, you do, because ultimately it's about turnout. But I do want to just pick up on one thing that Representative Jackson said, and that is these mass layoffs that are taking place right
Okay.
now in Amazon, on Target, on USPS. One of the things that's not being talked about is the biggest disproportionate hit of these layoffs are Black women. And if you look at the unemployment rate that has spiked in the African American community, it's extraordinary. And so when you're talking about disenfranchising voices, it's not just a issue of politics; it's also an issue of race.
Hmm.
And we need to be very clear that there was a lot of fight against the Republican Party and Democratic Party so that African Americans could actually get representation and talk about things like jobs impact on them. And that's what's at stake in this country. It's deeper than even Trump or Democrats. It's
Yeah, I think it's
fundamentally civil rights.
And I think it's pretty clear that that's deliberate, right? That the whole DEI argument gives companies an excuse to enthusiastically lay off Black people. Representative Jackson, you seem to be giving me an amen, so I'm going to let you weigh in because it does
Amen.
feel like it's targeted, right? They're like, once you say, oh, I'm out of DEI, I'm out of the DEI business, it's an excuse to say, I'm just going to lay off all the Blacks.
I mean, let me tell you, I can't thank Congressman Rokana enough. He's been on this from day one. He's been expanding opportunities with these tech giants to go into South Carolina. He's recognized genius and brilliance in the African American community, and he could smell that there was something very much foul, not just in the DEI and the woke and all these other things. And he started calling it out from the beginning, and all the way up to the point of Mr. Charlie Kirk saying that you had taken a spot of a Caucasian man at Harvard,
Yeah.
and First Lady Michelle Obama had taken a spot of a Caucasian man at Harvard, and Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee had taken a Caucasian man at Harvard, and Ketanji Brown Jackson, our justice. I mean, these are just veiled racist tones, and I think it's time for the Democrats to call it out. We're all grown folks. We're too grown to play this game. We know what they're saying. We know what they're doing. And today there are fewer African Americans at all of these elite, if you will, Ivy League institutions. That's what their goal was. So we're not going to suffer in silence. We're going to call it out, and we're going to do it in a very decent way. We're going to have humanity in the face of their bestiality and inhumanity. There are, if I can put one more thing in there, we had 30,000 Ukrainians to come to Chicago. We opened them. The largest population of Polish people outside of Poland are in Chicago. We welcome them with big arms. But when ICE comes to Chicago and the President of the United States says we're going to declare war on its own citizens, on its own soil, he's going after Black and brown people. It doesn't stop there. So we have to stop. He's not rounding up Caucasian immigrants that have come from anywhere. So let's just take the gloves off, call it for what it is. Let's grow in love and expand peace and prosperity, not going backward with hatred and segregation.
Well, I mean, he's got a lot of white South Africans advising him, big tech lords, and so that he's sort of making the country more comfortable for what they're used to. Meaning apartheid, making it comfortable for them. Exit question to you, Representative Ro Khanna. There, I was listening on SiriusXM yesterday to a show in which folks were talking about the question of whether Speaker Mike Johnson might be refusing to reconvene the House, not just to prevent there being enough of a quorum to 218 votes to force the Epstein files to go public, which is clear that he doesn't want those to come forward, but also that he might be wanting to keep the House closed for another reason, which is to effectively strip the House itself of the power of the purse by allowing the Office of Management and Budget, meaning Project 2025's Russ Vote, to control the spending, to cut programs, and to do this without Congress. And that the Speaker might actually he might actually be deliberately keeping the House closed as long as possible for that purpose. What do you make of that?
Well, it's embarrassing. I mean, Bannon is joking that we're the Russian Duma. How can anyone with self-respect in Congress debase the institution? And I think it's both reasons. It's the fact that Thomas Massey and may have this discharge petition, and we know 218 votes are going to force the release of the Epstein files. He doesn't want that because 50 to 60 Republicans would vote for it, and it would be the first day of Donald Trump becoming a lame duck. And secondly, because he doesn't want Congress to have a say in the spending. He wants Russ Boyd, who wants to cut everything and undermine the New Deal, to be making the decisions. But we can argue the politics, but the truth is, after Halloween on Friday, 16 million kids are going to start to go hungry in America because SNAP runs out. And shame on the governing class that's happening in modern day America while my district is producing $14 trillion of wealth. It's unconscionable. And what Speaker Johnson says, he's a man of faith. I'm of the Hindu faith, but I've read enough of the Bible. I don't understand how you have 16 million kids go hungry.
Well, I think Jesus was pretty clear on that in the red letters of the Bible, but there is such a thing as apostasy, and there is a such thing as idol worship. And if you worship an orange god rather than the Lord, you might be an idolater. That's me saying that, not you. Representatives Ro Khanna and John Jackson. How's your dad, Representative Jackson?
He is doing absolutely great. Thank you, Joy. He really appreciates you. He's
Thank
watching
you.
you now. And I would like to be affiliated with all of your comments on what you just said. Appreciate my friend, Congressman Ro Khanna. Keep up the great work, brother.
I love it. I love it when people keep it real, keeping it real. That is my ministry. I love it. Thank you so much, Representatives Ro Khanna and John Jackson. Thank you
Thank you.
both.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Thank y'all for tuning in. Be sure to like and subscribe. Share this channel. Make sure that everybody subscribe to the YouTube channel. 70% of people are lurking, watching these shows and not subscribing. Why would you do that? So make sure that you like, subscribe, and throw some comments. And thank you all for joining the Joy Reid Show. See you on the next one. And goodbye for now.